T.J. Jaworsky from Oklahoma State University, taking on Sean Harrison of Oklahoma. Jaworsky, another freshman, Harrison, a sophomore. And here's a look at how they got there. Jaworsky with a pin, Harrison with a pin as well in the semifinals.
That victory by Aiken closes the gap for Iowa State. 84-74 now Oklahoma State's lead. The rest of these matches are worth 3 points. As you see, Harrison right in on that leg of Jaworski's going for the takedown.
Oh, and he's got him down and got him turned immediately. And in trouble early, T.J. Jaworsky.
And my, this was a interesting move and almost a repeat of the duel match here back in January. Jaworski's first time out when Harrison stunned him with a pin. Jaworsky had beaten him every time they'd wrestled in high school. And Harrison stunned him with a pin. Watch as he elevates him, has the right arm hook just above the elbow, and that allows him to get him on his back long enough for the 2-point near fall. And it's 4-0. Harrison, he's trying to turn him again, but Jaworski fights out of it.
So the escape, and it's now 4-1. Harrison leading here in the first period, just about 45 seconds gone.
Now this was a shock when they met before and Harrison pinned Jaworski because Jaworski had always handled Harrison back in high school and freestyle. Jaworski was his first time down to weight. He was a little bit dehydrated. He hit his head when they went down and he sort of blanked out, so everybody said, well, it was somewhat of a fluke. When they wrestled again later in the second duel, Jaworski hammered Harrison 11-3. And now Harrison comes back, this time in the Big 8 finals, with a quick 4-point move to take the early lead. Third period on their feet. See again, Jaworski tried a sort of a half-hearted single leg attempt, really wasn't too serious about it, and he just looks like he's really confused and befuddled as to what he needs to do next. Harrison just kept him thoroughly off balance. I don't think Harrison wants to get caught underneath like that and risk getting hooked up the 5-pointer.
No, he sure doesn't.
That's about the worst thing he can do.
And Jaworski almost had him turned for a moment. Instead, it's Harrison.
Harrison with the 2.
Now it's 10-3 in favor of the sophomore from Oklahoma.
His superior leverage at every turn when they've got in that position, when they've been in that position, has given him the takedown, and Jaworski just can't understand it. Here you see Jaworski has started to get the underhook, but instead Harrison got it. The elevation right to the right side and 2 points.
Harrison on top, but Jaworski able to get his escape, and Harrison really let him go there. Now 10-4.
Smart move by Harrison. Riding time is now assured for Harrison. So in effect, it's an 11-4 lead.
Jaworski needs a real miracle right now. He needs to come away with a pin. And he's got a takedown. Now they get 10-6, but he gave him the escape.
Started to say he's got to decide whether he's going to take down release. He can't do that. He doesn't have enough time.
And he's got him now.
He needs to get back points, though, to have a real shot. Now he's trying to drive Harrison.
He's got 2, and he's got him possibly turned. Almost had him over, but didn't.
Trying to drive him over if he can get the head trap. Only 29 seconds to go. Scoreboard shows 11-8. Remember the riding time for Harrison. It's really 12-8. There's an escape. That'll make it 13-8.
And now Jaworski does need that miracle because he needs to get the takedown and the near fall.
Got to have a 5-point move in the last 13 seconds of the match to tie it and get into overtime.
And the fans not taking to the fact that Harrison was taking his time getting over there. Stan Abel, his coach, was up on the mat for a moment. Now 10 seconds, and they're just going to ride it out, and Harrison will get the victory.
Smart move on his part. And it'll be 13-8.
So 13-8 the final as Sean Harrison picks up the 126-pound championship in a decision over T.J. Jaworsky.
First upset of the finals as Sean Harrison knocks off Jaworski.
And we'll come back with the 134-pound finals when we return on Prime Network.
Out here, nothing is left to chance.
Check on the 1138 pound. Right on.
That's why Burlington Northern buys reliable, durable trucks, like their 1,500 Chevy trucks. Chevy full-size pickups are unsurpassed on overall quality.
We're in the clear. See you on your way back through.
With 99 models redesigned and engineered, GM is putting quality on the road.
General Nutrition Center's Pro Performance Amino 1000, the scientifically developed protein supplement. Amino 1000 can help give you the edge. The Amino 1000 gel capsule, designed for fast absorption. Amino 1000, exclusively at GNC, the authority in sports nutrition.
Welcome back to Gallagher-Iba Arena in Stillwater, as we're just about set for the 134-pound finals here in the Big 8 Wrestling Championships, and it will be Alan Freed of Oklahoma State University, the sophomore, who will take on William Gay of Oklahoma. Freed made it to the finals with a major decision over John Hippernan of Nebraska, while Gay came away with a decision over Mike Marino of Iowa State University. And Gay is an interesting story. He's kind of bouncing back from illness. He had non-contagious hepatitis earlier in the season, but has not shown the effects here in the Big 8 Championships. Freed, a sophomore, won a Big 8 title as a freshman at this same weight class, 134. And is back to make it 2 in a row.
And with that upset, that keeps the teams, Oklahoma State and Iowa State, 84-74. Nebraska still in third with 49. It moves Oklahoma up to 41 and Missouri at 27. Exactly the order they were picked to finish at this point, but it still gives Iowa State a little breath of life with that upset of T.J. Jaworsky.
Freed is kind of one of those rarities among Oklahoma State wrestlers. He doesn't come from the state of Oklahoma. He's from University Heights, Ohio.
From the great St. Edwards program, and he's one of the finest recruits 3 years ago. He's a redshirt sophomore 3 years ago in the nation. NCAA runner-up last year as a freshman to the terrific Tom Brands of Iowa. Brands and Freed have split in matches this year and are again ranked 1-2, with Brands 1 and Freed 2. And William Gay just dropped down to 134 for this tournament. He's been at 142 most of the year for Oklahoma.
That illness is really the reason for his dropping down in weight.
And one of the things that you have to look for in this match, Freed is a master technician. He's very intense and goes hard for 7 minutes. What William Gay has got to do is maintain that intensity level. Early in the year, he was at 134, I believe, at the Las Vegas tournament. Second day of the tournament, he really had trouble making weight and keeping his strength up, and really faded. When he goes to the national tournament this year, he's got to be able to maintain his weight Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, keep the weight down, and yet still be competitive in 2 or 3 matches per day. It's not a factor in this tournament because you make weight on Friday evening and then you don't wrestle until Saturday evening. You can weigh anything you want right now.
And a warning given to Gay for a butt. So the first warning handed out. And Freed inside gets the single leg takedown. Doesn't have points out of it yet though, and now does. And Gay's going to get an escape. So 2-1 our score, 1:15 remaining in the first period of action.
Freed is very relentless. He's always doing something. Sometimes he'll just wade in and do something and maybe even get taken down, but he just always wants the action to continue. And he is going to be a real test for William Gay. Obviously Freed a big favorite, being NCAA runner-up and all that. Now nice snap down by Gay as Freed stumbled just a bit, and I think accidentally put himself somewhat in that position, and Gay alertly took advantage of it.
But Freed, does he get the escape? Yes. They give him the escape, and it's now even at 3-3, 56 seconds remaining in the first period. In the background, you can see Kenny Monday, Oklahoma State's other co-coach. Between Monday and John Smith, they have 7 world titles among them. That's not a bad coaching staff there.
Very solid people, obviously, within the sport as far as competing, and have developed as fine young coaches. And obviously they serve as great role models for the young athletes that they work with.
Boy, and those guys are still competitive wrestlers, of course, with a chance to both expecting to go to Barcelona in the Summer Olympics, and they're in there on the mats every day working with these wrestlers. So these wrestlers at Oklahoma State get a chance to wrestle against the world's best, not just some of the top wrestlers in the country.
There are probably a half a dozen, I'd say a half a dozen people in the room this evening who have anywhere from a fair shot to an outstanding shot to be in Barcelona this summer. Mundy and Smith, of course, being two. Kevin Jackson, ranked #1 at 180 right now, Iowa State assistant coach. Randy Couture, #1 in the nation for the USA at 190 in Greco-Roman. Kendall Cross of Oklahoma State, a chance at 125.5. Corey Bays, and you see Freed with the double leg. Nice move.
And nothing taken there, and the period ends.
Did not have full control and did not have him to the mat ahead of the buzzer. You see Freed goes in on the double leg and elevates it, but just before he hits, before he allows the reaction time, the period buzzer sounded and no points. But here he does score, gets Gay's left leg, a classic single leg. Gay tries to defend, cannot, puts one hand back, but Freed continues to drive forward and gets the takedown.
And back to action now here in the second period, tied at 3-3. Freed starting on the bottom in this period. And they'll move back to the center. And there's a look at Kenny Munday.
Kenny Munday, a national champion here for the Cowboys 7 years ago.
Won a gold medal in Seoul in the '88 Olympics. And an escape and a point awarded to Freed. So now he leads 4-3.
I expect you'll see Alan Freed pick up the pace now and continue to push. He knows that that is his strength anyway, is just that constant pounding and pushing and continue to shoot. He's got Gay somewhat on the defensive. If you think back, Gay really, outside of that one takedown move, hasn't initiated many takedown moves. He's constantly been trying to fight off the 2-on-1 tie that you see Freed employing now, and he's really had not much opportunity to set up anything. And Kenny Munday out at the edge of the mat holding up a closed fist, wanting a stalling warning on William Gay.
Well, neither wrestler doing a whole lot at the moment. And now we have a stalemate called by Del Hughes, the referee.
Back right in the center of the mat. Freed continues to push and pummel. Gay staying right in there with him, but again, really, he's not really backing up or running, but really not instituting anything. He needs to get his offense started, or I would think he might be in danger of being hit with a stalling warning at some point here.
Well, as we watched things earlier today in the afternoon competition, we didn't see very many warnings given for stalling. And Del Hughes received the ire of a few of the coaches on a couple of occasions in some of those matches for not giving any warnings for stalling. So it would be unlikely to see it again here tonight.
He is fairly conservative, to say the least, on calling it. Nothing there as they go off the edge. Still 4-3, Freed.
22 seconds remaining in the second period.
Gay content just to tie up and hang and really not. And again, Freed working on him, trying to get the leg. Now Gay counters and almost had Freed in a little trouble. The quick spin by Freed gets him out.
And inside 10 seconds now. So a lot of action there, but no points awarded.
And you can almost see it that William Gay is saying, I'm going to keep this match close. I'm not going to do anything very exciting, but I'm going to wait for Alan Freed to make a mistake.
Well, and as you pointed out, Freed likes to keep the pressure on. Gay's stamina is a bit in question, and the key would be if Gay can keep things close going into that final period, maybe he can put it on strong in the final period and get something going there point-wise.
Sometimes you get where you're close against a highly favored competitor and it gets into the last period, maybe you're gassed a bit, but the adrenaline gets going, you realize you have a chance to pull a big upset, and the adrenaline can carry you through for just that last 45 seconds to a minute.
And Freed
going to employ a freestyle start which he notifies the official. There was a caution there as one of the men moved before the whistle. Puts the hands on the backs, releases Gay.
And by giving the freestyle start, that allowed Gay to tie the match at 4-4. So an interesting move on Freed's part.
Freed wants to be on his feet, not on the mat, and that was the purpose for that. He wants to make Gay try to beat him on his feet, where Freed excels.
Over the floor on our feet. No running time.
There is no riding time of note in this match, so if it would remain tied at the end of the period, we would go into overtime. But right now, Freed has a leg and is trying to work it on Gay.
Got the single leg. He's got to get it elevated. Now he's got the under the heel. Gay wants to kick out.
And Gay using his height to his advantage right now. And Freed really trying to just kick at him with that leg whip, but it's not working. And
Freed's having a hard time getting it elevated enough with that height. Now he gets him down, and there's the two, right at the edge.
And Kenny Monday was right there next to Del Hughes giving the 2 sign as well. Stan Abel came all the way around the mat.
Stan Abel was trying to say they both had a foot out of bounds when the control occurred. Bobby Walton, the mat judge, talking to Del Hughes about it, about where the supporting points of the offensive wrestler were. You see Freed is trying to elevate that leg of Gay's enough or get the stiff knee and push him back.
Now watch,
Freed is still in bounds
both
at this
his feet
point.
in.
Freed is still in bounds. Now Freed is outside, but he was inside and Gay's knees were on the inside, I believe, when the control was awarded by Del Hughes.
If you look at Gay's knees, I think both of his knees are inside on the mat.
Right there. The control is where Del Hughes said control occurred.
Well, Stan Abel right in front of us right now, and he and Del Hughes having words. Kenny Monday staying to the side, but making sure that he's a part of this decision.
And Stan Abel obviously does not agree with that call. What Del Hughes is saying, when Freed landed on top of Gay, his body on top of Gay, Gay's supporting points were inbounds and control occurred. Then when Freed continued to spin, his points landed out, and that's what Stan Abel saw, was saying, hey, his supporting points are out.
So 6-4 our score with Freed on top, make it 6-5 now as Gay gets the 1 point for the escape.
Now
inside a minute now.
Let's see how the strategy changes for William Gay now that he's down a point in the last minute. He can't be too passive. He's got to come after Alan Freed. We'll duck under by Gay, but Freed counters and gets the single leg, and that should be 2.
Is it 2? They haven't given it to him yet. And Hughes says they're out. And if you watched Freed's feet, he was keeping the toes inside the black of the mat. He wanted control. You'll watch him.
No question, the toes stay in. Watch this, but Del Hughes says that's not control. How it appeared to be, but he said no.
Inside 30 seconds now.
Now Gay's pummeling a little harder. He knows he's got to turn it on.
A 1 point lead for Freed.
Gay staying right in this match, 6-5, a chance for the upset. But he's got to take down Alan Freed, and Freed keeps his feet moving.
Now 15 seconds remaining in the match.
Gay tried a little head snap, no luck there. Freed hangs on, pushes into him.
Now down to 7 seconds. 5, 4, and Freed's gonna get the takedown.
Freed countered that, head snapped Gay and got the counter takedown with 1 second left to make it 8-5. Good match by William Gay, however.
And Alan Freed wins his second consecutive Big 8 title. 8. And as we take a look at his winning move at the finish, we'll be back with more on Prime Network.
Property owners, if you want to clear overgrown areas, you could struggle with a shaky sickle bar mower like this, or with a handheld brush cutter like this. Or instead, you could cut tall grass and weeds, brambles, sumac, even hardwood saplings up to 1 inch thick with the amazing DR Field and Brush Mower. The Field and Brush Mower chops most everything it cuts. There's no tangled brush to trip over or to pick up. And those big self-propelled wheels roll right through ditches, over bumps and logs with ease. The DR is not for your lawn. But what a job it does with meadows, roadsides, fence lines, walking paths, and woodlots. You can clear and maintain them all with the DR. Every few weeks, once a season, whenever you want. A big color catalog is just $2. Call toll-free 1-800-292-6500. That's 1-800-292-6500 for your big color catalog all about the amazing DR field and brush mower.
March Madness kicks in on Prime. College basketball's best schedule, coast to coast, features top teams Arizona, Oklahoma, Tulane, Louisville, and Houston. This is insane. Women's professional tennis returns as today's brightest stars trade shots in the Virginia Slims of Florida. And college baseball's mad bad boys of summer are back with live games from the SEC and SWC. It's one crazy month of madness. March on Prime.
And welcome back. We're just about set for the 142-pound final where Chris Owens from Oklahoma State University will take on Kenny Liddell from Missouri. Owens, a junior redshirt who is undefeated this season against the sophomore Kenny Liddell with a 35-9-1 record. Owens made it with a pin over John Nix of Oklahoma, while Liddell recorded a major decision over Joe Stevens of Nebraska. The escape by Chris Owens, and it's now 4-2 inside a minute and a half remaining here in the second period. It's been a tough year for the Oklahoma State wrestlers, obviously, to keep themselves focused. They missed several of their dual meets because they weren't sure of eligibility of several wrestlers, so they postponed those meets. In fact, it was the first time in 30 years they have not taken on Iowa State in a dual competition because that was one of the dual meets that was canceled.
And you'll notice in the records as you read them off, most of the Oklahoma State wrestlers, a lot of them, 10 or 12 matches because their eligibility was in question. As Owens goes in on the single, tries to convert it to a double.
And Liddell does a good job of spreading out and getting out of the way.
But as we said, some of these guys have had only 10 to 12 matches this year as opposed to 30 to 35 for their opponents. Now watch Owens, he shoots the single, starts to elevate the single, ducks under, and goes right to the double, and he thinks he's got it here, but Liddell does a nice job of keeping the hips back and sprawling and trying to post Owens' head and gets off the edge of the mat to avoid the takedown.
And Owens gets an injury timeout for a moment. Not sure what the problem.
I think he might have hit his head when his head was posted there at the edge of the mat. A lot of people say when a wrestler hits his head that should never injure him. Most of them are pretty hard-headed individuals.
You take a look at these guys and you can tell that they've been through the wars already this season, and it's getting down toward the end of the year. You can look at Liddell and see the black eye under the right eye, and he's just one of probably 4 dozen wrestlers that have black eyes here at this meet.
It is definitely not referred to as a non-contact sport.
No, it's not. And we will get back to wrestling. 52 seconds remaining in the second period with Owens leading 4-2.
52 seconds, as you said, in that second period, and Liddell may change a bit now in knowing that being down by a couple. Of course, he figures to get one of those back started in the third period with an escape, assuming he chooses down position. But he knows he's got to pick it up just a bit. And a double stall
warning, yes.
Bobby Walton says, guys, you had about a 45-second break, and now you come out and don't so much as shake hands even.
30 seconds remaining period.
You need to get acquainted a little more seriously. So much of the wrestler's offense depends on the tie-ups. He wants to control the ties, especially if you can control the elbows of your opponent. You have a chance to do a lot of things from the elbows, dropping down to lower levels, to the leg moves, all kinds of ties and throws.
10 seconds now.
10 seconds remaining in the period. We'll stop the clock and reset things in the middle of the ring.
So the double warning seemed to spark both of them momentarily.
But they will just kind of wait each other out here in these final few seconds of the second period. And it will come to a close with Owens leading 4-2.
And as we expected, Liddell takes the down position. Figures if he can get out and have a 4-3 deficit, only 1-point deficit, that gives him a chance to get some offense initiated. come from behind and beat Chris Owens. Very
and
quickly.
He does get the escape, and he's now down by just 1 point.
And Bobby Walton tells Kenny Liddell to be careful with the head slap. Don't get you carried away with that.
The head slap is a very important move in wrestling, but you have to be careful not to turn it into a punch.
Very good for distracting your opponent. As he blinks or turns his head slightly, then you shoot low. And now in the last 140 of the match, you've got to see which one can really turn it on and put the pressure on the other wrestler, not make a mistake, and yet be aggressive enough and go after the offensive points that you have to have. Chris Owens not the type of a wrestler to sit on a lead ordinarily. He's usually very open with his style. Sometimes you get in the conference finals and suddenly things tighten up just a bit, and you see people not want to do something to lose the match.
When Wes Roper was telling Liddell, you got to move, you got to go after things.
And remember, both with the double stall warning, if one of them stalls and is called for it here, that will be a penalty point.
And that could become very pivotal with a 4-3 lead for Owens.
Typically, the wrestler who's 1 point ahead, if he's not careful, tends to get too aggressive, too cautious. And really, neither one of them doing that much right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see another double hit.
And no riding time of importance right now where a point would be allowed. And we have a warning given to Liddell. So a point awarded to Owens.
Well, I've got to tell you, I don't understand that one, frankly.
With neither one of the two wrestlers really doing much work, it was interesting that Liddell was picked on for the point.
Liddell, the wrestler behind, and obviously wasn't doing much, but neither was Owens to me. But, of course, Bobby Walton's opinion is the one who counts, and he said 1 point penalty. Chris Owens has a 5-3 lead.
30 seconds remain in the third period. And Liddell knows he has to get a takedown here. He trails 5-3.
And you notice Owens made a little half-hearted single leg attempt, and sometimes something like that is just enough to look like you're doing something offensively to keep an official from hitting you with a stalling penalty. Wasn't a very serious move at all. As Liddell now picks it up, and now Owens is having to do the countering. He doesn't want to do anything silly.
7 seconds remain, and if Liddell is going to get this thing tied up, he has to do it very quickly.
And Owens, of course, the point where he can run, and he should be hit right here, and
he was hit with a warning.
It'll be a penalty because they both received a warning earlier.
And Walton wasted no time in handing out that point soon as Owens moved away. But he still manages to hang on for the victory. 5-4 the final, and Chris Owens has picked up the Big 8 championship at 142 pounds. And when we come back on Prime Network, we'll be taking a look at the 150-pound competition. Stay with us.
74-58.
Wow, how did you know that?
Wouldn't you like to be able to do math like that in your head? Now, through amazing discoveries and telebrands, meet the human calculator, Scott Flansburgh.
Using my methods, you'll be able to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, all in your head.
What's 987 times 954?
941,598.
Very good.
Get better grades in school, keep a running total while you shop, and gain a competitive edge in business. Scott Flansburgh will teach you on this easy-to-understand video cassette. It's only $19.95. Call now.
Call 1-800-767-4100 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Human Calculator, 4500 American Way, Roanoke, Virginia, 24016.
Dig in. Put your body on the line and attack. Major indoor lacrosse. One hit and you're hooked.
Baltimore and Buffalo, Monday night at 10 on Prime.
And we're back to action. 150-pound competition. Torrey Jackson in the red and Chip Bunner from Missouri in the black. And here's a look at the team standings at this moment. Oklahoma State leading Iowa State 90-74, and they're really in command at this point.
Iowa State would have to win its final 5 finals bouts by fall to score 20 points to give them 94. That's their maximum points for the Cyclones. So as you can see, it's not mathematically clinched yet, but Oklahoma State certainly in a commanding position. Torrey Jackson, the favorite here at 150.
He got in by injury default. Rick Colvett from Nebraska, who was still recovering from a knee surgery, wrestled his way into the semifinals, but defaulted there. Bunner came away with the decision over Jody Wilson. That was a little bit of an upset there, 3-1 in overtime. And Bunner lost in the finals last year to Chuck Barbie.
They were down at 142. Bunner has since moved up. Jackson has really bounced around with his weight, as Torrey is a fine young wrestler, but could not beat out Steve Hamilton last year. Jackson was at 150, and at the last part of the season, Steve Hamilton said, I want to go to 150, down from 158. He went down, beat out Jackson in ranking matches, so Jackson was forced to go to 158, where he did not place in the NCAA tournament. But Torrey Jackson has had a fine season this year, and one of the national favorites to be in the hunt for an NCAA title at 150. He's currently ranked 2nd in the nation.
His brother Kevin, of course, is an assistant coach on the Cyclone team and a 1991 World Freestyle champion.
Kevin at Matt's side right now, and Torrey, I'm sure, is glad to have him there. Kevin is the #1 man right now on the ranking ladder for the United States at 180.5.
You could see him just in the back of the picture a moment ago. He's in the middle of the threesome of Iowa State coaches.
And he gets very intense when his little brother Torrey wrestles. He'll start throwing in the body English and seeing if he can help him out with those moves. Chip Bunner
in with a good single leg move. The question is, can Jackson work his way loose?
I was about to say that Chip Bunner is a very workmanlike senior who has developed slowly but steadily at Missouri and has improved his way into being a good solid wrestler, making these conference finals for the 2nd consecutive year. Jackson though, shows
doing a good job.
Balance.
Oh boy, he did a good job that time of avoiding the takedown.
That's the great balance and agility that some of these athletes have, to be able to stay off their side or off their bottoms when they're put in that position. But the great balance by Jackson fought off the takedown.
The first period just about to run out now, and no score.
And now it's time to see who's going to do what.
So a little less than 2 minutes for somebody to get a takedown, and Torrey Jackson moves right in and gets the single leg. Now trying to get some control, but Bunner doing a good job of getting a hold of Jackson's leg, and we may be stalemated once again.
Jackson really let an opportunity go, and there's a stalemate by referee Mark Sigmund. Jackson really missed a golden opportunity there. You see him frowning as he walks back. He had the single nice and tight,
and then let his
Bunner hip locks right there, and Jackson is still in good shape until he allowed his own leg to get hooked, and then he lost the opportunity to score.
1:25 remaining in the third period. The match all even at 1 apiece. This is the final at 150 pounds.
And they go off the mat, and Torrey Jackson simply cannot penetrate Chip Bunner, nor could Jody Wilson from Oklahoma State this afternoon. He and Bunner had a hard time in that semifinal match, excellent semifinal match, which Bunner finally won with a takedown in overtime. They couldn't penetrate, scoring each other. Bunner's defense is excellent. His offense hasn't been existent at this point.
And we're now inside 55 seconds. And Bunner almost had the leg for a moment.
Really his first semi-serious attempt at a good initiating an offensive move there, as Jackson's back in on the leg. But at the edge of the mat, then they'll start afresh at the center.
38 seconds remaining in the third period, still even at 1.
And this is one of those good news, bad news things. Bunner lost 5-4 to Jackson earlier this year, so they've had one close match. It's a good news, bad news for Missouri. Good news is he's right in the match. It's 1-1. The bad news is Jackson's come close to scoring about 4 times now, and you can't keep dodging bullets all night long. You got to fire a few of your own.
Bunner gets in.
Bunner fires one.
And Jackson doing everything he can to get that leg free and does manage to get out of the ring.
Jackson simply too strong for Bunner to complete the single leg move. But as we said, Bunner's got to start firing a few bullets of his own, and apparently he was listening. That's the first good shot he's really had. He just couldn't
down
complete
to 10
it.
seconds now. So it looks like we're going to be headed into overtime in our first overtime final.
And they won't take a break. They'll start immediately into the overtime, come right to the center, and the first man to score wins.
This is sudden death.
Or sudden victory if you prefer.
Somebody has to get a point sooner or later. We'll start with a 3-minute period.
And if they get too cautious, of course, the referees can call stalling, and a stalling point can end the match.
No warning has been issued to either one of these two wrestlers so far, though, so it would take at least a warning to begin things.
Both very cautious at this point, the opening 30 seconds. Now Jackson to try to duck under. Bunner blocks. Bunner, as we said, only one real good shot in regulation. There's Jackson's in on the leg again. Bunner trying to sprawl, trying to keep the hips down. Reaching back through to the far leg.
Jackson better get that
desperate
leg
situation
spread
here for Bunner. Jackson's got him almost down.
And very near getting the control that he needs. He's got it.
59 seconds, actually. They didn't stop the clock, but 59 seconds into the overtime. Torrey Jackson, 3-1 with the takedown.
So Iowa State's Torrey Jackson claims the title at 150 pounds in overtime.
Torrey Jackson, Iowa State, your champion at 150.
And he doesn't look like a happy man despite winning the title. And we'll be back with more wrestling from Oklahoma State when we return on Prime Network.
It's just 100 yards long. But they're 100 of the toughest yards you'll ever go through. And to perfect their new 4x4, the experts at GMC Truck went through them over and over. Dedication like this is why GMC Trucks have been #1 in resale value 3 years running.
Hey, how'd it go today?
With 99 models redesigned and engineered, GM is putting quality on the road.
Oklahoma State, the outstanding junior who is 25-0-1 against Kirk Wallman from Iowa State. Smith making it on a decision over Matt Lindland, while Wallman pinned Sean Fry of Missouri, and we'll have a whistle stopping action to begin things with a shoelace getting tied. And Smith apparently just at that same moment, I don't know what happened, it looks like a pinched neck.
First I thought they butted heads, but actually it's his neck. They barely made contact. Smith was just initiating a move about the time that Del Hughes stopped it for the loose shoestring.
Yeah, it's almost like he had a spasm in his neck or something. He had an interesting match this afternoon when he beat Matt Lindland in the second period of that match. He was being choked and the official couldn't see it, and he was pounding onto the mat trying to draw the official's attention. That was kind of unusual. Couldn't really see anything happening there. But this afternoon, when in that semifinal match, he was pounding for the official's attention, trying to get the referee to see that he was being choked. And when they finally broke the hold, he was pretty upset, and a fight just about ensued. So we almost had a boxing match instead of a wrestling match for a moment.
Both these guys happy to be in the finals. Now you say, why would Pat Smith just be happy to be in the finals? He had to wrestle Lindland, who he really does not like his style. He said that Lindland always gives him trouble. He just can't seem to do what he wants with Lindland's style. And Kirk Wallman getting down to 158 after the season started. Happy to be in here. Had a good match this afternoon, did Wallman. Pin over favored Sean Fry of Missouri, who was actually the number 2 seed. Wallman almost pinned him in the first period, finally put him away in the second period. So as a sophomore, he's very pleased to be here, even though he's wrestling a 2-time NCAA champion.
Wallman is an interesting story in himself, a unique figure in high school wrestling. He is the only wrestler in U.S. history to gain 6 state titles. He won his first state title as a 7th grader and went 201-0 from 7th grade through his high school senior year.
Very precocious, to say the least. As is Pat Smith, obviously.
They both got great bloodlines. Wallman's dad was an All-American at Iowa State. And Smith, of course, coming from the family that just seems to keep turning out great wrestlers. And he has a chance. Of course, he has to win it this year as well, but he has a chance to become the first wrestler in NCAA history to win 4 NCAA titles.
And Pat Smith, having won as a freshman and a sophomore, looking for 3, has a draw on his record this year against Ray Miller of Arizona State, 1-1, duel out in Tempe, late January. Otherwise, hasn't lost in a good while.
And I'm looking for a moment over at his brother John, who's alongside the mat, and John is kind of slumped back in his chair and has a very defeated look on his face at the moment.
This final session really hasn't gone that well for Oklahoma State. Ray Weish didn't expect to win, but he certainly expected T.J. Jaworsky to win. And then Alan Freed and Chris Owens both won for the Cowboys, but neither one looked particularly explosive or impressive like I think that John Smith and Kenny Mundy were hoping they would appear. And Pat Smith, who struggled a bit this afternoon, as we said, before finally pulling out a 9-4 decision and having the choke problem. And now Kirk Wallman is really frustrating Pat Smith with some good defensive wrestling. And now Smith, a nice duck under there. He's got Wallman stacked and gets the takedown. Very quick, superb duck under by Pat Smith.
So 2-0 the score with just over 30 seconds remaining in the first period.
30 seconds remaining period. Wallman, cramping roll, followed by Smith.
Wallman tries a power roll, doesn't get free, and Wallman's very sturdy. Obviously, he's a very strong 158-pounder. Smith relies more on his extreme slickness, as they say, his great technique, but is very tough and very tough through the hips, as the coaches like to say. He's got good leverage with the hips.
And there's brother John.
Position. And when John says something, I guess people tend to listen right now, since John Smith is 1990 Sullivan Award winner, first wrestler ever to win the Sullivan Award, and generally considered perhaps the #1 wrestler in the world today, pound for pound.
Has won 5 different world titles, including a gold medal at the Olympics. And his brother Pat, of course, would like to match that record. And we'll head into the second period with a 2-1 lead.
Pat Smith just coasting along, and then suddenly watch this duck under, as he will pop under so quickly that Wallman never really had a chance to react.
And he got very close to turning that into a near pin situation.
Start the second period with Wallman underneath. He's loose, and it's a 2-2 tie. Smith still not really opening up like we typically see him do. But to Wallman's credit, Wallman has hung right in there and made it. There's the famed Smith low single leg, the low heel pick, and he's got the takedown. That's the move that John Smith has perfected and that the Soviets have found impossible to stop, and Pat has been taught that move quite well.
There may be no one in college wrestling that's quicker at that move.
The quick reach, traps right behind the heel, sucks it back toward him, and puts the opponent right on his seat for an easy takedown. A great wrestling family, of course. Leroy Smith, who was national champion here in 1980, now the Team USA freestyle coach. Then John comes along, 2-time NCAA champ and Olympic gold medalist. John will tell you that Pat is farther along in his career at this point than he was. And Pat, 2-time NCAA champion already. And Wallman trying very hard to get out, and Pat Smith trying to put a half on. That didn't work. So he just releases Wallman.
Wallman will get loose, and time called momentarily as they get one of the little ID badges that they wear along their ankles off the mat that had come loose off of Wallman's leg.
And just when you thought it was safe to go back onto the mats, there's a fourth Smith chicklet in the nest. Mark Smith, a sophomore in high school, just won the state championship at 148 pounds in the large class. Was runner-up as a freshman. Very difficult to do in Oklahoma in the large class to make the state finals as a freshman. And Pat and John claim that Mark is farther along at this point than Pat was, so we'll see.
Well,
that
he's got the benefit of having all the knowledge from his brothers passed along to him, and it can't help but help, although it may be punishment when you're a younger brother in that family.
Pat Smith back in deep, but Wallman sprawls, keeps the hips down. Wallman's got to get some offense going. In fact, sometimes officials, I believe, get mesmerized watching Pat Smith and all the things he does, and they don't realize, after watching him for a while, that suddenly 3 minutes have gone by and the other wrestler has never made an offensive move, realistically.
And Smith
there
does get the takedown with 15 seconds remaining in the period, now leads 6-3.
But Smith will end up forcing the other wrestler to spend most of his time warding off takedown moves. And because there's not much time in between them, you don't see an obvious stalling maneuver by the other wrestler. See that he snaps the head, tries to get around totally behind and doesn't at first. Wallman wades into him with a counter, but then Smith comes right back out of that and eventually gets around behind for the takedown right there. Posts ahead and gets behind him.
And the second period ends with an escape being awarded to Wallman right there at the end. And it's now 6-4 with Smith on top. And John has a look of disbelief on his face over there.
Now the good thing here for Kirk Wallman is that even though he's been taken down 3 times, he's gotten escapes. And plus he got the escape at the start of the second period. So he's only down 6-4.
And Gibbons was talking to referee Bobby Walton, saying keep an eye for Smith grabbing a hold of the jersey to pull him down, and now Smith gets another takedown.
Great reverse by Smith, and Smith now seems really pumped up and wanting to go.
On a penalty point awarded against Smith for pushing too far on that arm.
Said it was an illegal hold, that he took the chicken wing there too far back up above the 45-degree angle. When you get the hold, and you can't, his body blocks us from here, you can't really tell, but Dale Hughes said, no, you took it too far, that's illegal hold, that's a penalty point. John Smith says, aw shucks, or something like that.
Obviously didn't agree with the call.
8-5, the reverse made it 8-4, then the penalty point 8-5, and he's going to release Wallman. That'll make it 8-6. So as we said, Smith has dominated the match, but it's only 8-6. So from Wallman's standpoint, you've got to get something going, but on the other hand, you're right there in the match. There's the low single leg again.
Boy, gets right in there once again, and the takedown awarded. It's now 10-6. A minute 25 remaining in the third and final period. And as I watch the stalemate, I also see John Smith and Chris Barnes, one of the assistants, who immediately jumped out of the chair and started giving the body English to the takedown. They were leaning back and forth, trying to get even more control. That's Barnes, who you see just in the background, seated below John Smith.
John Smith feeling a little better now with a 10-6 count. Actually, I got 10-7. It should be the count that says 10-6 on the board. But Smith just released him. I believe it should be 10-7.
Yeah, the escape should be awarded.
10-7 should be the score.
And Smith now with 1:16 riding time, so he's starting to pull away. He's just had a tough time generating the consistent explosiveness he likes to show. Again, Kirk Wallman just staying in there, not doing anything fancy, avoiding the big points. And as we said, the officials, I feel, from watching Pat Smith so much, that they suddenly don't realize that almost an entire match has gone by and one man has never really initiated an offensive move.
Well, he's very aggressive and just about had a takedown there, but Wallman slips out. But now just 25 seconds remaining in the match.
And the fan behind us tries to alert the officials what we were talking about. The fan says, how long has it been since Red has shot? But that is a very easy thing for an official to fall into, as
because there's so much activity still going on.
Smith in on the low single again. Wallman trying to counter, but he can't do it. That'll make it 12-7.
Get the takedown right here in the final 10 seconds in the match.
And with the riding time.
Some riding time. So the final will be 13-7 as Pat Smith wins his third Big 8 championship in 3 tries. And for Oklahoma State, that will be their third title here in the finals. And we'll be back with more wrestling from Stillwater, Oklahoma when we return on Prime Network.
At GMC Truck, we've seen days like this for over 80 years. And have learned the value of a van that gives you the most room in its class. The added safety of 4-wheel anti-lock brakes. The traction of full-time all-wheel drive. And the feeling of security that can only come from a van that's built as strong as a truck. Safari from GMC Truck. More proof of the strength of experience.
Welcome back to Gallagher-Iba Arena as we're set for the 167-pound final, and it's an interesting rematch. Steve Hamilton from Iowa State against Todd Chesbrough of Oklahoma State. These two met in the 150-pound final last year, with Chesbrough winning in overtime. Now they meet at the 167-pound position, as you saw how they got into the finals.
So 1 year and 17 pounds later,
that's right.
Here we are again. Steve Hamilton will most likely become a 4-time All-American for the Cyclones this year. He's an outstanding wrestler. Todd Chesbrough's had a great career here. Of course, his father, Tommy Chesbrough, the former coach here, and who actually guided the team for 2 matches while John Smith and Kenny Mundy were away. So,
and he's sitting courtside right now.
Oh, a lot of tradition here, and Tom Chesbrough never misses a chance to help coach Todd. And he's sitting next to Kenny Mundy to guide him here. Great match last year in the finals. Steve Hamilton regarded as the favorite right now. He's ranked #1 in the nation, had an outstanding season. Todd Chesbrough's been very solid this year, but Hamilton has bulked up weight-wise from 150. He was probably about an average size 58-pounder realistically last year.
Chesbrough had a difficult time reaching this final as well. He needed overtime to beat Tommy Robbins of Nebraska 6-4. So he may be a little bit fatigued coming into this match.
Very tough match. Tommy Robbins almost had Todd Chesbrough beaten. Robbins is from a little school called Berry Hill over in the suburbs of Tulsa. And I'm sure it meant a lot to him to come back and wrestle a guy like Chesbrough, who was considered as a 4-time champion, state champion, one of the legendary high school wrestlers coming out of the state. So Robbins was pumped up and gave Chesbrough all he wanted. These guys really know each other well. They've met about 4 times now. Split last year, but because they didn't have a dual match this year, they haven't had a chance to meet. And Oklahoma State did not participate in the National Dual Championship, so they had no chance to meet there.
Chesbrough got in for a moment, but Hamilton with a good job of spreading out the hips and getting the leg base.
Hamilton is very quick and has superior balance to most wrestlers that you will run across. Just absolutely extraordinary balance. Chesbrough is a lean wrestler, but his last 2 years he's really worked on his upper body, and he's really built his upper body to where he does have great leverage and strength, and he can throw a 3/4 Nelson on that is very, very tough, and he can pin people with it. Both very, very sound fundamentally.
40 seconds remaining in the first period. We still have no score between these two wrestlers at 167 pounds. Hamilton tried to shoot a move, but fought off by Todd Chesbro, and they'll move back to the center of the ring.
Steve Hamilton, 7th in the NCAA as a freshman. As you see, Kenny Mundy and Tom Chesbro watching Tom's son Todd. Hamilton, 7th as a freshman, 3rd as a sophomore, 2nd as a junior, and there is Hamilton in and deep, and he's got the takedown. Nice move by Steve Hamilton.
So the first 2 points awarded to Hamilton with just over 10 seconds remaining in this first period, and that looks like how it will ride out here as the seconds tick off the clock. The period will end with Hamilton leading 3-0 as we'll head into the third.
Steve Hamilton, to this point, has very simply controlled the tie-ups exactly the way he wants to. Todd Chesbro has had some problems with people who keep up around his head and distract him by slapping or pushing on his head. In fact, Steve Hamilton, you recall, at the very first of the match, started off with a head slap. And he's done a nice job tying up Chesbro's offense. Only once did Chesbro come close to scoring in the first 2 periods.
Chesbro's got a base trying to get that escape and does. And now 3-1 the score, and he needs a takedown, and he knows it. Kenny Munday just shouted, "Get physical."
Takedown's the difference right now, and we're at the bottom of the train.
Riding time is of no consequence in this match. A minute and a half remains.
Bobby Walter, the referee, now cautions Todd Chesbro about using too many head slaps. And Hamilton back in deep again. Chesbro fights out with a good sprawl.
Chesbro counters and they come back head to head.
Only a 1:17 to go, and Chesbro's work cut out for him as Steve Hamilton. Solid lead.
You know, last year it was a takedown late in the match that tied it up by Chesbro.
And Jim Gibbons this afternoon, we were talking about various finals matchups, and he said, we got to this one, and he said, oh, it'll be 3-2, 4-3. And he's very, very close to being right at this point.
57 seconds remain now.
Chesbro in on the leg, drives Hamilton off, but not any real danger of scoring on Hamilton at that point. Now he's in tight.
Deep now, can he pull it in? He's got to get that leg as Hamilton tries to spread. And you can see the clock in the corner and a stalemate call.
43 seconds left, and that was a good deep shot for Todd Chesbro, but he simply couldn't pull up the leg as Hamilton kept the base wide and deep, kept the hips down. Chesbro in again. But no takedown. Great job by Steve Hamilton. And a good job, I think, by Bobby Walton, not panicking, waiting until Chesbro came from out of bounds because Hamilton was totally inbounds. Chesbro comes back around, but then Hamilton gets off with no control.
Just 20 seconds remaining in the match, and Chesbro needs a takedown to tie it up. Now 15 seconds.
They gave Hamilton a stall warning at the 19-second mark, but he could even take a penalty point and still be safe.
Chesbro's got to get inside, and he knows it. And a warning, that was a point awarded to Todd Chesbro.
3-2
so now
with 9 seconds to go.
He still needs that takedown, though.
4 seconds.
The clock is going to run out.
And Hamilton's going to win it.
3-2 the final. As Steve Hamilton gains a measure of revenge for losing last year's 150-pound final by defeating Todd Chesbro here in the 167-pound championship. When we return to Stillwater, we'll be back with the 177-pound final. Don't go away.
If you're hounded by a disobedient dog, now you can control your pet with Pet Trainer, the electronic pet training tool that works like magic. Just give the desired command and press the button. Pet Trainer emits an ultrasonic sound that you can't hear, but that commands your dog's attention. Harmless but effective, your dog will snap to attention and listen to your command the very first time you use it. Pet Trainer works great for cats, too. Don't let a nightmare like this happen. Pet Trainer trains pets for their own safety. And use Pet Trainer for your own safety as well.
The use of ultrasonic sound is humane and extremely effective.
Imagine a playful pet you can be proud of. Order Pet Trainer, the safe, effective way to train your pet. Only $29.95.
Sorry, no CODs. Credit card users call toll-free 1-800-542-0700 or send just $29.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Pet Trainer Box 500-X, Verona, New Jersey 07044. Credit card users call now 1-800-542-0700.
Dig in. Put your body on the line. And attack. Major indoor lacrosse. One hit and you're hooked. Every week on most Prime Network affiliates.
And welcome back to Gallagher-Iba Arena in Stillwater, Oklahoma, as we are now set for the 177-pound final. And this might prove to be the best match of the night. Matt Johnson, the junior out of Iowa State, against Corey Olson out of Nebraska, also a junior. There's a look at how they got there. Johnson, major decision over Kyle Scrimger. Corey Olson pinned Travis Gittens, and pins are something that come very frequently for Corey Olson. He had 16 this season.
And Corey Olson will throw it from anywhere, anytime. If you're in the first 3 rows, you got to be ready. He's very aggressive. He's ranked 5th in the NCAA at this point by the Amateur Wrestling News. Matt Johnson is ranked number 2 right now, which is where he finished last year. Johnson and Olson, a contrast in styles, and when they get together, I mean, things happen. Johnson got a little choke injury there.
And he signaled for a timeout.
Old-timers will remember the famous comedy team of Olson and Johnson, and they had a movie years ago back in the 30s called Hell's a Poppin', and that's about what happens when this Olson and Johnson duo gets together out here. Johnson is the more traditional, conservative, single leg, double leg, straightforward stuff, whereas Olson will throw stuff. Olson may try something different tonight, though. His coach, Tim Newman, says he needs to hit Johnson and get 2 takedowns off high crotch moves because he has a little move that he can hit sometimes from that and roll directly into a pin. So we're going to watch for that and see if Olson's ever able to hit up a high crotch. Johnson now, though, with the inside, with the bear hug, which is usually what Corey Olson likes to do.
And Olson, although he doesn't look bigger in the upper body than Johnson, really has tremendous upper body strength.
He does, and he's very quick with it. He hits his moves quick. They've met 3 times this year. Johnson's won 2. Olson hit him with about 8 or 9 points worth of near falls in the first one. But then Johnson came back and won 10-4 and 5-3 the second 2 matches. Olson also had, when he gets someone in a headlock, as he's trying to do with Johnson right now, if he can get the left knee or the inside knee in the position he wants, and he can stay parallel, not perpendicular to the other man's body, he has a knack of being able to roll through a headlock, much like rolling through a cradle, and get a pin with it. And we saw that this afternoon a couple of times as he almost pinned Travis Gittens of Oklahoma State with that, and then finally he put him away with another move. But he's very, very dangerous.
Well, we said 16 pins already this season in just about, just about 2.5 seasons of wrestling. He has chalked up 42 pins. And Johnson.
Very good, a little head snap there by Johnson. I thought he was going to get 2 points, but he did not.
They haven't given it to him yet.
Olson's coming through from underneath.
Turns it around.
And Johnson whips him over.
It's a frenzy, I want to tell you.
Finally,
2 points to Olson. Tell you what.
And you notice he's got the headlock. He wants the left knee to be inside of Johnson's if he can. Watch that knee.
And you'll see that Johnson immediately tried to get a leg up and get spread, get some balance so he can't be turned. And now he's going to get loose and get the reversal. So it's now 2-2 with Just over 20 seconds remaining in the first period.
He's got to keep, when he has a headlock, keep the man from getting perpendicular to him, because when that happens, it's when he can get rolled through and reversed, and that's exactly what happened there. And an underneath move by Olsen, sometimes called a wheelbarrow. Didn't work, though. Johnson countered it. And this is almost like watching one team in basketball likes to fast break and shoot the threes, and the other one wants to play a more half-court offense. And this afternoon, Jim Gibbons said for Matt Johnson would prefer this be a low-scoring match, you know, 5-3, 5-4, something like that. That means he's controlling it. Olsen would rather see it in double figures.
They started to call an injury timeout. Now they said no blood, so they're pausing while they try and find out. It looks like a cut inside the mouth of Olsen as we're taking a look at that exchange a few moments ago.
Now watch this as Olsen, with his back to the camera, tried to get a front headlock there briefly, but then Johnson simply head snapped him. And look right there, I thought it was a takedown. It was not awarded. Olsen comes through from underneath with a side roll. But notice that Johnson still has the left arm of Olsen hooked and is not in that bad a position, and will continue to come through off the backside and then simply whipping back down and end up getting the takedown by Olsen. Good flurry. Olsen comes out on top, then Johnson promptly reversed him right after that.
Well, we are now set to go with the second period of action tied up at 2-2, and Olsen will take the bottom to start things off. Whatever blood there was from a cut inside his mouth apparently has been taken care of, and an escape to Olsen, so he now leads 3-2.
Olsen quickly up. Quickly goes to a 2-on-1 tie. Now Olsen is not above wanting to get in an inside body lock and throw from the feet. Johnson ordinarily just as soon not do that, but a while ago we saw him go for the body lock momentarily. Johnson wants to keep his position, make sure that he finishes the move and does not get caught in a roll through. Olsen simply looking for whatever opening he can get to try whatever he wants.
Johnson gets in and gets the single leg.
Hit with a good low single, then turned it to a double. He's got Olsen taken down.
And it's now a 4-3 lead for Johnson with that takedown. 50 seconds remaining in the second period as Olsen's going to get loose and get the escape and tie it back up at 4.
Back even, and Olsen again working from the front.
And he's trying to get that roll now. He hasn't gotten the takedown. Now he does. No.
He's behind him, but he did not hit him down to the mat. And when he finally got him down to the mat, Olsen's supporting points were off, so no takedown.
30 seconds remaining in the second period. We're even at 4. And we've got the blood once again. So I'm not sure if it's a bloody nose or a cut to the mouth. It appears to be a bloody nose that they're working on.
In bleeding time, they will not count as injury time.
Now, as injury time, you have a minute and a half worth of injury time that you can use during a match. It doesn't have to be for just one injury.
Cumulative total, you get a cumulative 3 injury timeouts, and they cannot total more than 1.5 minutes. You mentioned a while ago, Olsen, not that big for a 177-pounder. I actually think he could make 167 if he really pushed it. But he has great flexibility, great quickness, and what you might call a limber or flexible strength about him.
Inside 10 seconds remaining in the period now. Still even at 4. And it looks like we'll head to the third period in that position, and we will.
30 seconds running time advantage
for Johnson. It will be his choice, and he will take the down position in hopes of getting the escape and getting the point to start things off here in the third period.
And as we suspected at the start of this evening's finals, this one definitely has been the best action of the night. Good even match, 4-4, several other points almost scored. And Olsen puts the tight waist on Johnson and hopes to break him down for a little bit, but I don't think you'll see him content to just do a normal ride. I don't believe he'll sit back for very long. Oh, he's got him hooked up again. He's got that headlock.
Boy,
Johnson wants to get out of that. And he does.
And we have blood on the face now of Johnson. Not sure who that's coming from. I think he's cut his mouth.
Or is that Olson's blood, perhaps?
It's hard to see. Well, we've got another timeout. It's a cut on the mouth of Johnson now.
Both bloody but in bout at this point, 5-4.
Let's take a look one more time at what Olson was trying to do moments ago. He had him in that headlock, and what he'd like to do is roll him right there.
Tries to get, but he gets out parallel. When Johnson gets out parallel, that's not where Olson wants to be. He wants to keep, perpendicular. He wants it to be parallel, not their bodies perpendicular to each other, and he can't make the roll through without some danger at that point.
1:10 remaining in the match, and now Olson needs to get a takedown. He trails 5-4.
Riding time, no factor. And will not be a factor in this match.
Olson gets in deep, but can he pull him in? Johnson doing a good job that time of spreading the legs.
Very good sprawl, much like you see the trails of a howitzer, keeping the hips down, legs wide. And you see Olson was in very deep right here as he made the nice move on the right leg of Johnson. But Johnson alertly gets the sprawl, underhooks, fights it off.
40 seconds remaining in the match. Johnson going in and has a leg on Olson. But they move off the mat. And now with 32 seconds remaining, Olson has to do something offensively.
Had Johnson gotten that 2, you say 7-4, that might have salted it away with 30 seconds left. But remember, this is Olson. A 3-point lead is not safe with him.
Now 20 seconds remaining.
Really pushing. I think they're both, they're very tired as Olson is trying to throw the headlock again. He couldn't get it.
And just a moment ago, Olson looked up for the clock, knew he had to release and go after another takedown move.
Stall warning on Johnson.
And 2 points awarded to Johnson on the takedown.
And a great scramble by Johnson there, because that indeed does salt the match away. With only 2 seconds left, there's not even physically time for Olson to score a near fall. So this match, frankly, is over unless a remarkable escape and takedown occurs in the final 2 seconds, and it won't.
And 7-4 will be the final. Matt Johnson from Iowa State takes the championship at 177 pounds. A year ago, he was second place in the Nationals and has a chance to do it once again. Now here's a look at that last takedown. Watch his foot movement.
He just leaped over there, but you notice he made sure his toes stayed in bounds, and that's what counts because his supporting points are still in bounds.
We'll take a break, and when we come back, it'll be the 190-pound final. You're watching Big 8 Wrestling on Prime Network.
If you're hounded by a disobedient dog, now you can control your pet with Pet Trainer, the electronic pet training tool that works like magic. Just give the desired command and press the button. Pet Trainer emits an ultrasonic sound that you can't hear, but that commands your dog's attention. Harmless but effective, your dog will snap to attention and listen to your command the very first time you use it. Pet Trainer works great for cats, too. Don't let a nightmare like this happen. Pet Trainer trains pets for their own safety. And use Pet Trainer for your own safety as well.
The use of ultrasonic sound is humane and extremely effective.
Imagine a playful pet you can be proud of. Order Pet Trainer, the safe, effective way to train your pet. Only $29.95.
Sorry, no CODs. Credit card users call toll-free 1-800-542-0700 or send just $29.95 plus $4.50 shipping and handling to Pet Trainer Box 500-X, Verona, New Jersey 07044. Credit card users call now 1-800-542-0700.
Hold on, folks. Buckle up. The Bulls win! Barkley for 3! Oh, no!
If you love basketball, this is the show for you. The plays of the week, player profile, and magic moments from the past. It's all in NBA action.
Every week on Prime Network. Available on most Prime affiliates.
We're now set for the 190-pound final, where it will be Oklahoma State's Randy Couture against Chris Nelson, a pair of seniors battling it out for this 190-pound title. Couture made it to the finals by decisioning Andy Foster of Oklahoma 6-4. Nelson took a decision over Iowa State's Dan Troop 3-2. And Couture, a 28-year-old Army veteran who is the #1 ranked 190-pounder in Greco-Roman wrestling in the United States, certainly has a chance to make the U.S. Olympic team, but is trying to pick up the Big 8 title here.
And these two guys have seen a lot of each other the past 3 years. They have been bumping heads. They're both seniors. They have met 11 times now in the past few years. And Nelson, who won 5 of the first 6, has seen Couture catch up to him here in the past year and a half, because now the edge is 6-5 only in favor of Nelson in the series. But Couture is ranked #1 in the nation at this point because of his strong season he's had, plus coming off an NCAA runner-up finish from last year. This 190-pound class is the best weight class in the Big 8 this year, with Couture ranked #1, Nelson 7, Dan Troop of Iowa State 10, and Oklahoma's Andy Foster 12. 4 very strong candidates there in the Big 8 at 190. As you said, Couture hoping to make the Olympic team at 198 for the United States, ranked #1 at this point. Right now, he's got to worry about collegiate style and that continued adjustment that he's had to make from wrestling Greco back in the Army to collegiate style, and he's done it quite well. 2 years ago, he had a lot of trouble on his feet, had a lot of trouble underneath escaping, because you didn't have to worry about that in Greco-Roman. But he's worked very, very hard. He's an outstanding student, near 4-point student for his entire career. And he and Chris Nelson have just really gotten to know each other quite well here in the past 3 years.
Couture is a major in German. He would like to teach German education. And as you talked about before these matches began with me, it's rather interesting to note that despite his Greco-Roman background, he rarely ever gets a takedown above the body in the collegiate wrestling.
As most people may or may not know, in Greco-Roman, all holds have to be above the waist, and he's excelled in that. But in collegiate style, because of the danger to your legs if you tie up too much upper body, he may get a 2-on-1 tie, or he may start something that looks like an upper body move, but he'll drop down to the legs usually for the takedown. Rarely ever will you see him execute an upper body throw or a true Greco-Roman move when he's wrestling collegiate style. And that's because of his respect for his opponents attacking his legs.
A lot of head slapping going on right now, and nothing much happening point-wise with 35 seconds remaining here in the first period. No score.
And lest we forget, this Big 8 tournament is an NCAA qualifying tournament. As we said, 41 of these 48 wrestlers who are here will qualify for the NCAA championships. The top 3 finishers in each weight, that would be a total of 30, plus 11 wild cards. So they could take all 10 fourth-place finishers and one more, or they could take all 5 at certain weights, just depending on which they feel is the strongest weight class for them to take people from. The Big 10 Conference and the Easterns and all the 2 regionals and all the other tournaments also going on this weekend, supplying the 350-man field that will meet at the Myriad in Oklahoma City, March 19th through the 21st, to decide the NCAA title.
And the period will wind down and wind out with no score between these 2 wrestlers at 190. One more match remaining after this one. It'll be Jamie Cutler against Kurt Mammon. And if this team title competition had been as close as expected, that may have been the deciding match of the championship. And the escape there to start things off, as Nelson gets a point.
Oklahoma State with a safe 93-83 lead over Iowa State in the team scoring, so that is assured. But one of the fun things about the finals of a wrestling tournament is even once the team's standings have been established, you still have the individual titles to look forward to. Nelson even briefly on a single. Now you notice Couture goes to the trip, the inside trip, underhook and trip. There's a Greco move. A lot of times he'll set that up, and in the middle of the trip, when he's got the opponent worrying about the trip, and suddenly he'll drop from the underhook down to the legs and hit a double leg off of it. Really improved on his feet in the last 2 years.
1-0 Nelson leading, 1:10 remaining in the second period now.
2 years ago, Nelson would win virtually every time, 4-3, 3-2, something along that line. He would get the one takedown in the match, and he would come out ahead on all the close flurries. But now Couture almost with a takedown right there, but no.
That time Nelson lunged on out of the ring to make sure that he didn't get taken down. Here's a good look at it.
No control yet. He tries to hook the other heel. Nelson wants to keep it away, and right there is Couture. Well, I tell you what,
that was
Nelson,
real close.
He did a great job keeping the left foot out. Had that left foot been hooked in, that would have been 2.
30 seconds now remaining in the second period.
I'm sure Nelson is very relieved at that because he really got caught in a bad position. Crowd didn't like that call. 16 seconds left, second period. 1-0 score. Nelson with the lead on the early second period escape. Couture one near takedown. Nothing else that close. Clock will run down at the end of the second period. It'll stay 1-0.
And so we'll go to this final period with Couture going into the down position, a chance to quickly tie things up if he can get an escape.
This is an important match for both wrestlers, but particularly, I think, for Chris Nelson, ranked 7th currently. If he could beat Randy Couture here, he would have a great chance to move up in the seedings at the NCAA. As you see, Couture escaped to tie it at 1-1. And Couture is in deep. Nelson tried to fight him off and does. Good counter again by Chris Nelson.
So it remains at 1-1 with 1:40 to go. You know, it's important for Couture to not only win here, but on into the Nationals because of the way things are set up now for Olympic positions, because they have Olympic qualifying basically by the regions of the country or regions of the world. And the takedown that time by Couture.
Of course, that would help Couture's confidence level, but remember, we're talking 2 different styles, and the National Collegiate Championship wouldn't directly affect what happens at the Greco-Roman selections of the Olympics, but it would certainly help Randy Couture's confidence to know that he'd won the collegiate championship. And he got that big takedown there as he caught Nelson in a tough spot underneath. Now Nelson kicks free with a power roll.
And that'll make it 3-2 with 53 seconds remaining.
Nelson has been pretty much content to stay back and react to Couture's moves, which finally got him in trouble there. Now down 3-2 with 53 seconds left. Chris Nelson can no longer do that. He's got to take the attack to Randy Couture if he wants to be the Big 8 champion. A little bit of perspiration out there in one area of the mat. But now it will be very interesting to see if Chris Nelson picks up the pace and begins to apply the pressure to Randy Couture. So far, it's really been Couture the aggressor.
And now it will be Nelson who has to be aggressive because he is down 3-2 with inside 50 seconds remaining.
Couture, with only a 1-point lead, can't get too cautious or he could be warned and then penalized here in this last 40 seconds. He's got to stay aggressive and initiate some moves and not back up. Nelson right in there on a single.
He's got the leg. Can he get control? Couture, can he break loose? Almost a near pin. And Nelson is going to win this match unless Couture can get loose and get something going here in the final 10 seconds.
A 5-point move by Chris Nelson, and Randy Couture is going to be furious at himself at making that mistake. Chris Nelson is going to win it 7-3.
What a turnaround in the final 30 seconds of this match. Chris Nelson with the 5-point play and a 7-3 victory over Randy Couture. When we come back, it'll be the heavyweight final from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stay with us.
GMC Truck has been planning your getaway for over 80 years and has put all its experience into a new vehicle with the luxury of a leather-trimmed interior, the safety of anti-lock brakes, the comfort of a soft ride suspension package, and most important, all the strength you'd expect from a truck company to let you make the leap away from it all. The new SLT Jimmy from GMC Truck, more proof of the strength of experience.
The Corvette uses premium fuel for hot performance. The human body needs premium nutritional fuel for top performance. Whatever your sport, General Nutrition has hot sports nutrition products for you. With Heavyweight Gainer 900, just one serving delivers over 900 low-fat calories to help you pack on the pounds. Champions Heavyweight Gainer 900. Accelerate to top performance. GNC, the authority in sports nutrition products.
And we are set for the final match of the evening. The heavyweight battle between Jamie Cutler of Iowa State, the senior, 21-4-2 on the season, against Kirk Mauman of Oklahoma State, 25-2, the senior. And Mauman is an interesting story. We were talking about this before the finals tonight. He has a chance to become a 4-time All-American and possibly never win a Big 8 title.
That would be very unusual. I'm not so sure that's ever happened before. I looked back and I couldn't find that happening. But of course, you about rate this match as a toss-up. They have met twice this year. They've each won one match. Mauman being a 3-time All-American, I was surprised that he didn't receive the #1 seed here. They gave it to Cutler, but it's a moot point now because they're in the finals against each other anyway. Mauman has been 6th, 5th, and 5th in the NCAA, 6th, and 5th, actually, in the NCAA the last 3 years. So he's going for a 4th NCAA medal. Cutler has been battling it out just to make the team the last couple of years against Todd Kenny from Iowa State, who beat Mauman in overtime in the heavyweight finals last year. So here we go. Should be a good, tight heavyweight match.
Mauman has really put on some weight in the last couple of years. Did not come to the school as a heavyweight.
Wrestled 185 in Illinois in high school and weighed around 200 when he came. They projected him at first to be a 190-pounder, but after his redshirt year as a freshman, and they brought him in as a redshirt freshman, they needed a heavyweight. He stepped in, surprised everybody by finishing 6th in the NCAA tournament, and has not failed to place in the NCAA since. But as we said, he hasn't won this tournament yet. This is his last shot as he faces another senior in Jamie Cutler.
Last year was a loser in the finals in overtime.
And Oklahoma State hanging on 93 points with Iowa State at 83. Nebraska now 52. Nebraska will finish at 52. Oklahoma will finish with 41 and Missouri 27. So the only points left to be decided in this bout between Oklahoma State and Iowa State. Of course, it can't change the team standings, but the Cowboys looking very strong this afternoon. Now have only won 3 of 7 finals bouts tonight. So that's got to be a bit disappointing for them to not finish off the tournament in convincing fashion as they had hoped to. I think they really figured to have, they wanted to have 6 Big 8 champions coming in is where they really felt like they should be. Instead, they're going to have 3 or 4, depending on what happens in this match.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of discussion here in the last week or so where the school has said that should it win the Big 8 title or the NCAA title, they will not accept the trophy. In an effort to maybe smooth things out during this NCAA investigation period. But Kenny Monday basically said, hey, all the wrestlers will know who the champion is, whether they hand us a trophy or not.
Well, the way this supposedly would be handled tonight by the university, first the Big 8 says that this championship is going to be conducted exactly like its other championships. Team points will be counted and awarded, and the appropriate trophies will be presented to the appropriate schools. Whatever Oklahoma State wants to do with that trophy is up to it. Oklahoma State's says that there will be an announcement made when it is time for the awards presentations of some kind. And the university wants to handle it in a way so as not to embarrass itself, or certainly not to embarrass the Big 8 Conference. But as you said, it officially it will go in the books as Oklahoma State being the Big 8 champion for the 6th consecutive year in wrestling. No score, 45 seconds left first period. Both of them fairly cautious. Very difficult for these guys to do a lot with each other. They know each other's styles fairly well. Both very good position-wise. Mammon is a little more likely you'll see him shooting single legs and doing things like Granby rolls because of his background as a 185-pounder. He tends to do things some of the heavyweights don't.
So far, he has not been able to record a point here in this first period of action.
Cutler is a big, solid heavyweight and is a little bit bigger than Mammon. And one of the things that a heavyweight has to watch out for is if you try something kind of a low-level move, like a single or double, and you get caught underneath on it, heavyweights are not as agile to be getting out of those moves from underneath. So a lot of heavyweights like to counter and hope to draw the other one into a move of that sort.
So the first period of action ends and still scoreless. And the decision will be Mammon's on what position he will take. There's Joe C., the suspended head coach at Oklahoma State, here in the crowd watching the action. And he is obviously awaiting the outcome of the NCAA investigation into possible violations here. And the escape by Mammon.
And Mammon, with that quick escape, takes the 1-0 lead, and now we'll see if either man picks up the offensive pace. Cutler got a takedown in overtime the last time they met to win. Mammon won 4-1 in regulation time the last time they met. Cutler in on a leg.
And Cutler gets the takedown. So Mammon, though, has the opportunity to get back into down position and get an escape here.
And Cutler, you see, has the right leg, tries to secure a double and hooks the instep of Mammon just as he's going off, and is smart enough to alertly clamp them together. Mammon thought he was going to squeeze out of that, but couldn't quite get loose. So a big move here in a heavyweight match like this with two evenly matched men. One takedown sometimes is enough to do it.
Mammon almost loose and does get loose now. And now that he is free, it's all even at at 2. 1:26 remaining here in the second period.
Cutler with a leg up, though, realistically. Obviously, starting the third period, he will likely choose down, and when he gets his escape, it would be 3-2 unless there's something happens here in the second period. So Mammon would really like to get a takedown here and erase that disadvantage he is at. Gives Cutler a slight bit of command.
Just inside a minute remaining now as time is called to move them back to the center of the ring. Mammon now gets himself centered back up to see if he can get something going here in the final 45 seconds of the second period. And we're probably close to getting a stalling warning thrown out here.
Cutler tries a brief 2-on-1 tie, doesn't like that. Cutler's going to play it fairly cagey. He's got that leg briefly. Going to say he's play it fairly cagey, but he's being really slick getting the legs of Mammon. Mammon does a nice job turning in. Cutler very nearly a takedown there, but Mammon turns right into him. And he has caught Mammon off guard twice now as they've been up tight together, and Cutler is doing a nice job of changing levels. Watch him drop down, see, from the underhook on the right side, and suddenly he just drops right down to the other level and gets the leg trapped. He's caught Mammon with that twice. Scored with it once.
And now just about ready to see time run out here in the second period. And it will. We'll head to the third period, all tied at 2-2. Cutler will choose the down position in hopes of getting the escape and getting the 1-point advantage. Final match of the evening here in the Big 8 Wrestling Championships, and Mammon has decided he's going to give the optional freestyle position and give him that take or that escape so that he can get the takedown.
He wants the full 2 minutes basically to work. It's 3-2 as Cutler has the lead. So they sling each other off. I wouldn't want to get in the way of that. They start flying around. Cutler's been very smart on his feet. Had the 2 nice takedown moves, one of them completed. It's kept Mammon at bay. Mammon usually has a good low single, and as he shoots it right there, but Cutler alertly reacts to it. And he's doing a nice job of keeping Mammon at bay where he's not been able to come close to a takedown.
1:20 remaining with Cutler now leading 3-2 in the third.
Riding time not a factor. Cutler trying to control the tie. Mammon pushes into him. Cutler now has got to be careful here. He's gone about 20 to 30 seconds with doing not much but a brief tie and a hang, so he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to get hit with a stalling warning too early because that would allow enough time for him to get hit with a point against him.
50 seconds remaining in the match. Mammon moved in but wasn't able to get a hold of the leg.
45 seconds.
Now Mammon knows he has to get something going here.
The crowd trying to spur Mammon on as they know their favorite is in danger of losing in the Big 8 finals again. And that was a little belated move there by Cutler after they were already off to the edge. But only 31 seconds to go. Cutler wanting to hang on with this 3-2 lead to give Iowa State its 5th individual champion of the night.
30 seconds now.
That would pull the team score to 93-86 would be the final count if the score stays this way.
And that would be even a closer final than a year ago.
20 seconds now.
Mammon trying to get inside. 15 seconds now on the clock. He's got to get a takedown to win.
Cutler surprisingly hasn't been hit with at least a stalling warning, but it's going to be a moot point now as there's only 4 seconds left. And Mammon cannot penetrate Jamie Cutler, 3-2.
So Jamie Cutler will win the heavyweight title. 3-2 the final. And as you said, rather surprising here in the finals with Iowa State performing very well while Oklahoma State comes away from those 8 championship bouts with just 3 titles. And you could see the elation on Jamie Cutler's face. And we'll come back to Stillwater, Oklahoma to wrap it all up in just a moment.
If you've ever struggled with a handheld trimmer, you'll love this revolutionary new kind of trimmer on wheels. Just look how easy it rolls on those 2 big wheels and glides in any direction.